Should I go ahead and start?
Sure, why not?
Okay, you're listening to the Seabrook Business Waves. This is a monthly podcast focusing on economic development initiatives around the city of Seabrook, Texas. Seabrook is located southeast of the city of Houston on the Galveston Bay. Our city is 9 square miles with 13,000 residents who are eager to welcome your new business to our community. Oh, hey, Paul, you made it.
Yeah. I had to pick up some groceries during my lunch break. Whew, man, Kroger is always packed.
They are, and they have a lot of great items for shopping. But it would be nice to have a little competition.
You're right. And you know, while our residential population is 13,000 people, our market area is over 50,000 people. Plus, we have a large daytime working population that includes the 15,000 employees at the Johnson Space Center and the 35,000 people who work at the Bayport Industrial Complex. Both are just outside our city limits.
And many of those people live right here in Seabrook.
Right, yeah. You know, our department regularly gets calls weekly asking about landing a second grocery store in our city limits.
Well, Paul, why don't we get some insight from an expert that we know who can help shed some light on the site selection process, especially in a community like Seabrook?
That's a good idea. Hey, we have Lacy Beasley, president of Retail Strategies, on the line. Retail Strategies is a retail consulting firm based in Birmingham, Alabama. Lacy and her team have worked with the city of Seabrook on helping to introduce our community to a wide range of commercial prospects that would be ideal candidates for Seabrook. Thank you so much for joining us today, Lacy.
Well, thank you, Paul. It's an honor to be on here with you.
Hey, Lacy. Pat, our awesome EDC coordinator, and I were just talking about the site selection process for grocery stores, and many of our community members have been asking about what it would take to land another grocery store in our community. Based on your expertise, what are we looking at when it comes to the challenges and opportunities for attracting grocery stores to our area?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when you think about grocery stores and how they are going to choose their next location, it's a bit more complicated than some of the other categories. I could easily argue that grocery stores are one of the most relevant and important of all the categories within retailers and restaurants when they're looking to open. And that's for a variety of reasons. I mean, when you're looking at economic development, how do you grow your community through the function of quality of life, then having a place to buy your groceries on a weekly basis really contributes to that quality of life aspect. But also what grocery stores do from the function of real estate is they typically will anchor additional retail development. So all the other retailers that are looking to expand, they want to know that they have that anchor store that's going to create the retail synergy, and grocery is a big part of that.
Well, we have Kroger and we have Arlen's down the street. But some people think of grocery stores and think of something big like H-E-B or something small like a neighborhood grocery store. What are your thoughts, Lacy?
I think it's important when we say grocery stores, each one of us as individuals, our minds probably go to a different place on the grocery store we shop to specifically. So I'd encourage everybody to think about the difference in big box grocery store, which would be something like a Walmart. You have your wholesale, which is, you know, Costco and Sam's Club or BJ's. And then you have your more conventional grocery stores, which would be something like Kroger, H-E-B, Publix. Then you can also look at your specialty or organic grocery stores. That's going to be more in the category of Trader Joe's or Natural Grocer, right? And then you have your non-traditional grocery, which is going to be more dollar stores, drugstores, farmers markets. So when we say grocery, it really can run the gamut of what type of brand qualifies for grocery. And when you're looking at recruiting new grocery to your community, then it's really matching up the brand with the consumers that live in your market and looking at which brands can be successful and sustainable there. How the community is going to support that brand. Because at the end of the day, for all of these brands, when they're looking at where they're going to expand, they're going to, number one, be looking at profit. Can they support the sales per square foot that will feed that store. And whenever a grocery store is looking at where they're going to open, it's going to be a substantial multi-million-dollar investment. And they want to be there for the next 20, 30, 40 years. So can your community support that long term, which is why they are so extremely particular about site selection and where they're going to open.
Well, what do you see when you think about the expansion of grocery stores in Seabrook? And also, what are the main points that grocers look at during the site selection process?
When you look at Seabrook, then it's very unique in the way that the city is laid out. So each one of these, now whether it's going to be Trader Joe's or a different brand, they're going to a specialty or more conventional grocery store. They're typically going to look at 5 things in their site selection. They're going to look at traffic count, which you have about 38,000 vehicles per day on Bayport Boulevard, right? And it even can range up to 50,000 vehicles per day, depending on what portion of the boulevard you're on. So they're going to look at traffic. They're going to look at access, which means ingress, egress. So a lot of grocery stores are going to look at where people live, where's their primary residence, and what is their commuting pattern to work. And they want to be on the PM side of the road, which means the going home side of the road. So that means that you can take a right into the grocery store, and you can take when you arrive there. And then when you leave the grocery store, you can take a right pulling out. We as consumers are a bit lazy in how we shop and where we determine where we're going. And it's as simple as not wanting to take a left and cross traffic. So a grocery store wants to be on the PM side of the road as people are coming home from work. And so you really have to look at your existing real estate and how it might play into that strategy. So whether it's going to be a smaller footprint grocery store like an Aldi or a larger footprint grocery store like an H-E-B, you have to make sure that you have the landmass where they can develop that shopping center that is going to feed into the consumer shopping traffic patterns that will support the store sales that they need. They're also going to look at parking. So sometimes we say, well, we have this smaller lot, this great piece of property right here, but if it's not going to support a 5-to-1 parking ratio, which is 5 spots for every 1,000 square feet, then they won't want to choose that site. Parking is so critically important. And I think the parking lot of 20 years in the future looks very different than the parking lot of today, but retailers who are expanding today still have to look at what we as consumers are doing with parking, and it's really important for us to be able to pull up right up in front of the store. They're going to look for good signage. They want to make sure that their visibility is not blocked by anything in front of them. So sometimes we might see a piece of property that's a little bit further back off the highway, and we have this mentality, well, if it's a great grocery store that we all want to go to, then people will find it and they'll go to it. Well, that's not necessarily the case. That's not what drives site selection. So they want the really good signage so that grocery store is always top of mind every time somebody drives by. And then ultimately just convenience. Those are the main 5 site metrics, whether it's a more conventional grocery store or specialty grocery store that they're going to be looking at in Seabrook. And potentially your largest challenge right now is just going to be finding the right real estate that plays into all those metrics. No doubt you have the consumers there that can support it and want to support it. But it's really going to have to be that model where all the stars align. And I do see the potential for that.
Thank you so much, Lacy, for your valuable time and input for our listeners. So the 5 main points we need to keep in mind with site selection are traffic count, accessibility, parking, signage, and convenience. We got this, right?
Oh, heck yeah. All great insight from Lacy at Retail Strategies. And we'll be sure to reconnect with her in future episodes on other insights with the site selection process. Moving on, what else is happening in Seabrook, Pat?
Well, have you been to the backyard lately?
Not lately. Tell me more.
They're located in Old Seabrook on 4th Street and Hall Avenue, and they've recently remodeled,
Really?
extending the bar area and adding a new elevated patio with fire pits.
Ooh.
And it looks amazing.
Wow.
For our listeners here, the Backyard is a restaurant that serves amazing macaroni and cheese dishes alongside beer, wine, and now a full-service bar.
And they also mentioned how they've expanded their menu, so there are more yummy options to get at the Backyard.
Wow, it's perfect warm comfort food on a cold, chilly day like today.
Oh, yeah. Let's go. Oh, wait, we got to finish this podcast. And guess who just got nominated for our Business of the Year? It's
KIWO!
Pat, tell me more about KIWO.
Well, KIWO, the company also known as Kissel and Wolf, develops, manufactures, and sells imaging materials for the screen printing market around the world. And our hub services North and Central America from right here in Seabrook since 1982.
Wow.
But the original company has been around for 125 years.
Holy cow. Wow.
And KIWO expanded their emulsion manufacturing team from New York to Seabrook recently as well.
Nice. Very nice.
We're very, very proud to have KIWO here in Seabrook.
I agree. We are very lucky and fortunate to have a well-established company as part of our community, and we're happy to have them nominated as our Business of the Year.
Well, Paul, guess what else is happening here in Seabrook?
I'm going to say we have a new business here in Seabrook.
That's correct.
Yep, and they're called Alspaugh's Boutique by Kelly Annette. They are located at 2100 NASA. You know that big curved building on NASA Pkwy? And they are located on the second floor above Mario's. I visited the boutique, and they have all sorts of fun stuff, like knickknacks for around the home, candles, clothing, accessories, but also seasonings for cooking and grilling, and even hardware.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot to see and check out, as Kelly Annette has curated a wide range of gorgeous things from around the world.
Wonderful. Well, to wrap things up for this episode, let's highlight a few available retail spaces for lease at the Miramar Shopping Center, which is located at 2000 Bayport Boulevard off of State Highway 146.
Okay, sounds good. What do they have there?
They have 5 spaces for lease at this shopping center. Ideal uses for these spaces would be fast food, fast casual dining, and clothing stores.
Okay.
Let's start off with the 7,000 square feet of available space that's next to Bounce and Play, whom we've discussed in a previous episode.
Oh, the Bounce and Play? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
And there are 2 spaces available next to each other that are 1,208 square feet next to the Sherwin-Williams store.
Is that 1,200 square feet each?
Correct.
Okay, cool.
Next up, there is an 8,460 square feet available next to Burke's Outlet. This would be a great location for another retail or a home goods store.
Oh, yeah.
And lastly, there is a 2,400 square feet of available space at the end cap, which used to be a Beacon Federal Credit Union, who has now relocated to the Repsdorf Circle.
Well, alrighty then. Head on over to seabrooktx.gov/Seabrook Business Waves to find all of our past episodes. You can jump from there to your favorite podcasting platform so you can listen where you like to listen. Also, please help our podcast by subscribing, hitting that like button, and leaving us a review. It's very much appreciated. Drop us a line at edc@seabrooktx.gov and let us know your thoughts on what we've covered so far and what you'd like to hear in upcoming episodes. Okay, well, I need to put these groceries away now, but before I do, on behalf of the Seabrook Business Waves, I'm Paul Chavez.
And I'm Patricia Patel. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. Let's go eat.